Assalamualaikum everybody and welcome to this really special episode of Dialogue with Ammi. This is honestly going to be one of the most special episodes ever because the guest is so special and I've seen her so closely and intimately in what was probably the most remarkable year of her life or of anyone's life. A true lesson in resilience, in overcoming odds, in just dealing with whatever life throws at you. Hello, Ayesha or Tabby. What do you prefer to be called?
Um, People usually call me Ayesha, but friends and family call me Tabby. So you choose. Are you people or are you friends and family?
Tabby it is. So, Tabby, how are you feeling now?
Mixed emotions always. Every day starts. I think I've always been a very hopeful, happy-go-lucky person. That's always been a very prominent part of my personality. But I think it's been difficult. It's been difficult to bring that kind of energy every day. I think the first 150 days, maybe 180 days, I was in a daze. And the only thing that would get me out of the bed was the fact that I had two young ones looking at me, looking up to me, and suddenly I was the one in charge. With Raza being gone, suddenly everything, every single decision and the onus of that decision weighed heavy on me. Previous tasks that I may have done at like the back of my hand that came to me so naturally, I was doubting every single decision I take because there was nobody backing me up on it. And by nobody, I don't mean my support system. I mean, God bless my mother, my friends, my family, my brother, everybody. But it's just, that one person who has your back. And we had that kind of relationship, actually. I mean, you'd see in us. We had that chemistry. Mashallah, we had beautiful 19 years. And all marriages go through their ups and downs. And I think we were very resilient through our trials. It was never, you versus me with him. It was always us versus the problem or the issue. We were the team. But Allah Mia had other plans.
But Tabby, if we go back to August 2022, right? It was August, yeah, 20th August.
29th he passed away, 28th he had the accident.
So that morning, it was a Sunday, you were sleeping, and your mom was staying over. So you were sleeping, Meher was sleeping, Heather was asleep. And then Raza, as was his routine, he just got up and said, "Oh, I want to take the bike for a round." Like, did he meet you? Do you remember anything from that morning?
Everything like it happened yesterday, and I think I can never forget that. Nor do I want to. I don't think I'm ready to let go of that last day of him being awake and aware. It was, I think, around 9. My mother was having breakfast, and interestingly, he called my mother on Friday and he said, in his charming, jovial way, he said, "Auntie, आप आई नहीं, आंटी तो दिन हो गया आप आई नहीं, आप आयशा से नाराज है, आप मुझसे नाराज है, आंटी मैं आपको लेने आऊँ, आंटी मैं गाड़ी भेज रहा हूँ." So mama said, नहीं नहीं बेटे, मैं मेहर को लेके आ जाती हूँ. And she picked up Meher and she came over just for the weekend. Like Monday morning, she was going to drop Meher to school and go home. She only brought 2 clothes for the weekend. That was it. And he met her and she was having breakfast and he said, "Auntie को हलवा पूरी खानी है, कुछ करना है, मैं लेके आता हूँ, मैं जा रहा हूँ. I'm just gonna go for a drive." That was it. He went down to Meher.
And you didn't meet him?
No, I was sleeping and like you take those sleeping intimate moments like a peck on the cheek or a little, tussle of hair or something for granted because you're sleeping, right? But he went down to Meher. Meher used to sleep with my mother-in-law because I didn't want my mom-in-law, who's 80 plus, to sleep alone. There's so many issues, health-wise, that can arise. आप अंधेरे में गिर भी सकते हो. There's so many little things that you have to be a little careful of as parents progress in age. So he asked, he said, "Come with me." And she said, "No, Abba, I'm sleeping." And she turned over and went back to bed. And later she asked me about that, Aisha. She said, "Mama, if I'd gone with him, would I have also?"
And she's only
So then I
12?
explained, she's now 13, she was 12 then. And I told him, Manika Rani, we can't figure out the what ifs. But it was, Allah had written it to be Abba's time to go,
Not yours.
not yours. So if it wasn't the bike, it would have been something else, anything. But this was Abba's time to go. And when it will be my time to go, I will go my way that Allah has written. And when it will be anybody else's, they will go the same way that Allah has ordained. I don't know if I should go into the graphic details of that phone call and then me rushing there and Heather following in the other car.
So basically, just like somebody called you and said,
a
you-
guard, not naming any restaurant's name or whatever, but where it happened, that road, and I'd like to be mindful of everybody's privacy. But Radha told them the numbers because he didn't even take his wallet or his own phone. He just thought I'd go for a quick spin and come back.
And this was a routine that when the weather was nice, he would go on his bike.
This was his first ride on
So
this bike.
Oh, but he would go on like other bikes.
Occasionally, yes. Occasionally.
But his bike, where it was his first.
First ride. It was his first ride. He procured it I think 2 weeks ago. And he was suffering.
It was the Azadi bike from what I remember, which is like a limited edition bike.
Yes.
Like a collector's item.
Yes, and he was very excited about it, but he had a bit of an elbow issue, thoda golfer's elbow, thoda tennis combined chal raha tha. So he wasn't even playing golf those days. He would go for an early morning walk to Gymkhana. Just because he wanted his golf fix. So we'd go, his friends would be playing, we'd walk along them, they'd hit their shots, and then we'd have breakfast and come back. And so it took him 2 weeks to get on it. This was his first ride on it. It's not that he didn't know how to ride a bike. Because ample times he would put the children behind him, I would sit behind him, he would take us for a quick spin here and there, and a variety of bikes he'd driven. So he was well equipped to be able to handle such a device, such an what do you call it?
A vehicle.
A vehicle, yeah. Yeah, so that's, one.
Yeah. Because that bike was, imagine standing there for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody got on it. But Jude, whatever date and time is written. So you got a phone call just saying that your husband is injured, basically.
Well, yeah. Meher came running in. Mama had an accident. And I immediately jumped out of bed. I will omit a few personal details here. I spoke to the chap, he told me exactly where, which was a minute away from where we live. And that's where I was rushing out of the compound. I saw the other ladies of the house, everybody coming, rushing down. I reversed, put them in the car, ran there. Heather, our son, followed in the other car. And I got there must have been about 30-40 people there. And certainly I was very aware of the fact there's a bunch of females and only one man, Heather, with us.
Oh, yeah.
And he was 17 then.
Yeah, he was a baby.
And never having experienced anything like that.
Yeah. Because Raza was always such a presence in your life.
Always. We never let anything trickle to the children.
So that was the first moment that I hit you.
I was very aware of the fact that there's at least 5 to 6 women with me, including me. And I was very aware of the fact that somebody would get molested or eve teased or something or the other.
That's what you were thinking.
The moment I got out of the car, and I said, Rasta de, main ki biwi hu, Rasta de, Rasta. Luckily, I had my chadar, everybody was adequately covered. And, not a single person touched him. The beauty of the situation that, even the working class was mindful of the fact that there are these घर की औरतें that you don't see on the streets. उन्होंने भी हमें पता है. उनकी मेहरबानी थी. That was the kindness they showed. And he saw me.
Raza saw you. He was lying on the ground.
He was on the ground. His head was in somebody's lap who was in grey scrubs who later performed on him.
Oh, so he was probably on his way to the hospital.
Yeah. And he saw me and he said, "Hi, Badi Tati." Really tongue, and his femur was broken. There were two places in his arm, right arm. You could see the bones, but and there was scrapes and scratches on his stomach. I quickly checked the head to see because I come from a family of doctors. My paternal side is full of mashallah. You कहते ना एक फोटो तो doctor. So that thing.
And he seemed to be conscious.
He was conscious. He was expressing his pain. He was aware. He was alert. He was thirsty. He said, "प्यास लग रही है, पानी दो तो है." It's a very natural reaction to, I was communicating with him, but there were tears rolling down my eyes. But I was in charge of the situation, and I turned. I said, "Please, पानी दे दे." इनको पानी क्यों नहीं दे रहे? And they said, basically they explained to me that it might go down the wrong pipe, the trachea. And I said, just a cupful, just to wet his lips, just to kind of help him. And I did that. Immediately the water show. I tell you, our working class, the labor there was so helpful. I could never be grateful enough. But, and the moment I gave him water, I realized, okay, what are we waiting for? When I'd gotten out of the car, the doors were still open. Right? It was a Sunday morning, there's no traffic or anything. This was 9:15 a.m. And I swung the car around, I opened the doors, I said, "Darling, go." And they said, "Nahi, wo ambulance, whatever." I said, "I am his wife. I am telling you, put him in the car. I will take him to the hospital." And they're like, "Nahi, wo aa rahi hai, aa rahi hai." And I said, "Kidhar aa rahi hai?" And I'm like, "Aap inko dalte kyun nahi hai gaadi mein?" That, I swear, may nobody ever have to go through that trying time, that helplessness, where you are physically not able to protect the one you love, that you'd give your life for. Anyway, so, while I'm trying to get them to move, they, we hear the distant wails and the silence of the ambulance. And they're like, "Dekhe, aage. I'm like, "Kidhar aage?" You move put him in the car, I'm going to take him. Not a second to be spared. And, बस फिर खैर वो आ गई एम्बुलेंस. My mother and Heather sat with Raza, my mom-in-law, and Meher, and one of our house helper with me. We followed the ambulance. They took him to services, and in the process, I placed a few calls, alerting our very near and dear ones that this had happened. I was thinking that we might have to move him, but the chance never arose. Because wherever they took him, that hospital, again, I like to keep, not name any names. So apparently they get the highest volume of trauma.
This is amazing when it comes
and thank you for naming the hospital.
It's okay, we cut it. But yes, government hospitals are amazing at managing trauma. But Tabby, we don't have to discuss what happened to him in the hospital. But throughout that time, you probably could not imagine that he would not come out of the hospital.
Ayesha, he was always such a lucky person that I honestly, till I pronounced him gone the next morning at 6:29 a.m., I actually thought he's going to make it. Even when they were trying to revive him with 4 nurses and 2 doctors and I think about 20, 30 adrenaline shots and I don't know what all, and they're pumping him manually and physically and everything, I honestly felt he's going to make it. And his father had been through an episode of where he had flatlined for a few minutes and then he came back and I was thinking, yeah, Abba ka beta, he's going to make it. He's going to make it. If by sheer will I could